Good evening and welcome to a special on the night on the sofa in conjunction with the Tom Broadbent Lounge. I'm delighted to say that Clem Mofuni is joining us live from Australia, and he's here to talk about the recent events off the field and, most importantly, the events also on the field. Please send your questions in and we'll get through as many as you can. We've got Vic and Joe with us from the Tom Broadbent Lounge as well, who will be going through the questions. Can I just point out that the advisory board minutes are now published and they're on the Swindon Town and the Trust website. In addition to that, there was a statement made by the Trust regarding the recent events. So there's been no pre-prepared questions and there's been no vetting. So without further ado, let me bring Vic and bring Joe on. Good evening to you, gentlemen. I hope you're both well.
Andy, very good evening to you. Very nice to be here and very nice to be in the company of Joe as well. Good to have you along, Joe.
Cheers, Vic. Cheers, Andy.
Yeah, and without further ado, let's bring Clem on. Good morning, Clem. How are you?
Good morning or good evening. How are we?
Yeah, well, we're okay. It's what, 5:30 in the morning, just gone for you?
It's 5:30 in the morning. I've been up for a while, so that's a bit.
Well, that's very good of you to join us.
Anyway, so that's all right.
Yeah,
well, that's very good of you to join us. So thank you very much indeed. We appreciate it.
No, so I'll leave you to it.
Okay, Andy, thank you very much indeed. If I might kick off, I mean, obviously, Clem, this is a moment where people can get questions into you. You can give them answers. And we'd like to clear this up and somehow move on with our lives because our team is fabulous at the minute on the pitch and we want to support that team superbly well. Can I start off by saying, where are we at with your ownership? Are you thinking of selling Swindon Town Football Club, or how committed are you to STFC? Where are we at with that?
Well, I'm trying to buy the shares back now at the moment from Chris Kiley. So I'm fully 100% committed to the club. I'll tell you that now. Look, I haven't probably been in the public eye as much as I have in the first year, but in the last, I've been on the phone with Michael Flynn and Jamie Russell, Anthony and Rob Angus and all the staff there from morning to night. I don't think people realise how much time and effort I actually put into this club. I think the first year, look, I was full on going out pouring beers and doing what I was doing, but at the moment, I'm working on the actual football side. Jamie and I and Michael Flynn have done it. We're working really hard to make sure that we get a proper team on the pitch, which I believe we have at the moment.
So in your mind, you are not you're not thinking of selling Swindon Town Football Club?
No, not at all. I'm not selling the club at all.
Would you see yourself in 5 years, Clem, being the owner of Swindon Town Football Club?
If God permits, yes. I can't. How can anyone predict what happens in 5 years? I can only say, yes, I'm fully committed to the club. Hopefully I'm still here and we're in a better position and hopefully we're in the championship, but time will tell and if God permits. So,
yeah. You spoke about the shares there, Clem. Are you looking for additional investors to bring into the football club? Obviously, if we didn't have sufficient funds or there weren't sufficient funds available, to the point where we had to look elsewhere to shift the shares over.
No, so what happened originally? So when we were going to court with Lee Powell to take over the club, we had a rough idea that the debt would have been about £800,000. Right, so I thought £800,000. We knew that the debentures of 2.95 million were there from Andrew Black, and we thought, all right, they're not going to get called upon. £800,000, that's not a problem. When I came into the club was a mess. I'll tell you that now, absolute mess. I didn't realise how much debt was involved. So there was £4.5 million roughly of debt. We had court cases coming from the council, from DBS, from cars that were lost in Switzerland, some other stuff as well. So we had to clear that debt. That was my first goal. Then I didn't realise that there was a debenture. I realised there was a debenture but I didn't realise that Andrew Black had sold it to Andy Curran and Lee Power. Now, I believe he bought it roughly for £1 million. Don't quote me on the numbers. I'm not too sure if it's 100%, but that's what I thought. So I spoke to the legal team and I said, are these debentures going to bite? He goes, yes, they are going to bite. Now, I had the £1.5 million, roughly £1.5 million of my own money, which I refinanced at one of the properties to sort out the debenture. I asked a few people at Swindon. I asked a guy in Australia. Then I asked Chris Kiley, and he said, "Yep, I'll lend you the money, but I need some security as long as you pay me back." I said, "All right." I had 3 days to do it to save the club. If I didn't do it, the club would have gone into admin. So I didn't. The worst thing I did, or the thing that I made a mistake, is I didn't tell the fans that I used the shares as collateral to prop up the club, to pay the debentures off. So yes, it was my fault, and it was a mistake that I made. Look, I'm human; I make mistakes, right? But I never took any money out of the club. I was trying to save the club, and that was what I was trying to do. And we've cleared the debt. We've bought the ground 50% with the supporters. Now, and I'll go on to the actual buying of the ground. Now, look, I appreciate everything the Eady Trust have done, but when you look at the will doesn't say anything about buying the ground or giving 50% to the supporters, which I did, right? And I always said, look, it's not my money. It's not my money at the end of the day. It was Nigel Eady wanted it for the football club. So as my mum always said, look, money that's not yours is not blessed. So, and that's how I looked at it. And I said, well, at the end of the day, we bought the ground with the Eady money. 50% I gifted to the supporters so they could buy the ground, and that gave us a security for the supporters when I'm gone and buried or whatever, that you guys are still going to own a ground at the end of the day. So look, I understand people. I keep saying that it's transparent, and how am I going to build that trust again? Now, I could have been and no disrespect, I might swear a few times. I could have been a prick and said, well, you know what? The will clearly states it's for the football club. I own the football club, so it's my money. But I never did that. I gave it to the supporters so the supporters could buy the ground at the end of the day. Now, I appreciate everything that the Eady Trust have done, 100%. And I take my hat off to Nigel Eady, and I God bless his soul for what he's done for the club. So all I wanted to do was do what was best for the club at the end of the day.
Can you clear up who actually owned that share issue? Because there's some confusion here. Was it the wives of the lawyer and Chris Kiley, or is it Chris Keeley and the lawyer? Can you just clear up who owns those, and actually how many of those shares you still have to claim back, if indeed you claimed any of them back? So I think it's 22% so far, 17.
Yeah, I
own
78%. Look, what they've done with their wives, they would have to answer that, but we. It was 5% with Eddie and 17% with Chris Kiley, but I'm buying those shares back from Chris Kiley at the moment. So we're just going through the paperwork at the moment. So that will probably be sorted out in the next couple of weeks. I'm just trying to get the lawyers to sort out all the paperwork, which will go down to about 4%, I believe. So it'll be 91%, but they don't have any involvement. They don't have no day-to-day running. They have no authority. They have no nothing at the end of the day. And look, Anthony and Michael Flynn and Jamie Russell are the ones that run this football club, previously Rob Angus.
Yeah, let's move on to Rob Angus, if we might, because you'll be aware that at the fans forum, which we ran, there was a statement read out by Rob Angus, which 24 hours later was totally contradicted. And we had found this out just before the fans forum started. Do you regret what happened with that statement and how it then subsequently came out?
Absolutely. Look, I apologise to Rob, and I apologised him personally, and I apologise on record. It shouldn't have happened. I should have advised him. That was my fault. I totally admit blame. I don't have a problem. I'll put my hand up if I've done something wrong. I don't have an issue. I'll take it on the chin. But I will have a swing too if I believe that I'm being accused of stuff that I'm not doing at the end of the day. Look, and that's what annoys me a bit. So, yeah.
Where did that line of messaging come from, Clem?
What was that, sorry?
Rob was told that it was a mistake, and he advised the supporters that it was a mistake. Was he advised on that line?
It was my fault. Yeah, I advised. I was in a meeting. I told him, no, don't worry about it. It's got nothing to do with it. And then this all blew up. So, yeah, it was my fault. I'll tell that now. I'll take it on the chin.
Because Joe, we've got a question in from Joe, and she says, why was there the secrecy and the misinformation around the sale of the shares? Doesn't fit with the openness and transparency which we were promised, and left Rob Angus in an untenable position. And then that leads people to think that that's why Rob Angus left. I mean, can you tell us why Rob Angus left?
Look, Rob Angus left because of personal reasons. Look, there was no reason why, because of the shares or anything like that. Look, he's in the club. He's living and breathing the club day in, day out, every day. So, and he's got 2 kids and a wife. And look, he was working 6-7 days a week. And I don't blame him. He's got some two kids that need attention, and he needed that. And look, we're still mates. I still talk to him. He's in France in the World Cup rugby, and mate, when I'm over there again, we'll catch up. I want to bring him back in some sort of capacity anyway. So I'm still trying to work that out at the end of the day.
I think a lot of people.
Sorry, Joe. Go on.
Sorry, Vic. I think a lot of people quite like the fact that Rob Angus was a Swindon Town man through and through. I think many people felt a little bit of security in the fact that someone at board level was a local boy, if you like. Do you have any plans to sort of reinstate anyone that's a town fan or like a local, I guess, on the board? Do you feel that's important to have that connection?
We're looking at it at the end of the day. I'm still with. Look, no disrespect, the club's been a mess for 30 years. I'll tell you that now. The way the finances have been run, the way the operations have been run, the way the process, the procedures, there's nothing been sorted out with the stadium. We're fixing up stadium, we're fixing up the roof, we're fixing up the fire system, we're fixing up so many things there. And it's never been run properly. We're trying to sort out a fans forum, we're trying to sort out the development, there's so many things. We do an advisory board once a month, every month, which we've been doing for the last 2.5 years. I'll do it even when I'm here in Australia. I'll still do it on Teams doesn't matter where I am in the world. I'll still keep doing it. So, we've set up the women's team. Look, there's so much to do to clean that club up, and it's all right to go and throw a bucket load of money on it, and then it goes into debt, and then you're in the shit again. So
I think it's just we've had a lot of over the last 40 years. I'm sure you're aware that we've been stung a few times. I think it's fair to say. Call them what you want, dodgy ownership, or maybe not as transparent as you'd quite like over the years. And I think that's probably where a few of the scars come from.
Well, look, I don't blame you, right? And I can say whatever, and people will criticise me after this and saying, but I don't blame you. I don't blame you feeling critical. Was this Aussie coming over here trying to keep saying the right things, but it might be all bullshit. So I'm not trying to. When you look at it, in 2.5 years, we bought the ground, paid off the debt, sorted out the women's. We're third in the league. We're doing an advisory board once a month. I don't know what else. I don't know what else. So I'm not going to, because if I say something, people criticise me. If I don't say something, he's not around, he doesn't give a shit, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. I'm thinking, well, what do you want from me? I'm busting my ass, and Anthony and Rob and can say they see how hard we work, and I haven't taken a penny out of the club. I'll tell you that now. Like, I pay flights to go over there, I pay the hotels, I pay whatever I got to do. I never take a cent out of the place. So for me, I feel, well, like, look, yes, I agree. I should have advised the supporters that what I had done with the club, but that I was advised that I didn't need to anything below 30%, but I believe that was wrong. So I apologise to everybody. I should have told people. But I was buying those shares back anyway. So I thought, well, if I don't need to advise anyone, I'll just leave it because it just aggravates.
Where does that leave the club with the Football League, etc.? Because they have to be notified, of course, if there's a change in share issues, things like that. Where are the club with the Football League over this?
We've advised them. We've given them all the paperwork. We spoke to the lawyers. We've done all the paperwork, so we're just waiting on them to come back to us.
Do you expect any sort of, how can we put this, response from them?
I'm not too sure. I don't know at the moment. We might get a fine. I'm not too sure. I think maybe that we might get that because we haven't advised them.
Okay. Nick asks, can we ask Clem if he plans never to take money out of the club? And why is his money sat as debentures? Can you answer that question?
What was that? Sorry?
Can we ask Clem if he plans never to take money out of the club and why his money sat as debentures?
I've never taken money out of the club. Why have my money gone as sat as debentures? I'm not too sure they are sat as debentures.
Fair enough. Okay, well, that answers that. Right, let's have a look. If Stephen says, if Clem hasn't the capital to pay off a debenture, how will he find the funds to revamp the stadium?
Well, I've got a business and we will get funding for the stadium, but it's going to be done in stages anyway. So we had a report on the actual development. We're probably not happy with it. We presented it to a couple of the supporters groups, but we need to rejig it again. So we need to work out what stages we're going to do first. Obviously, we want to set up a fan zone. So when I'm over there, we'll have to go through the fan zone. We want to go through the fan zone section first, and then work out how else we're going to do it.
Do we have a rough time frame of when we think that redevelopment at the ground will be taking place? Are we aiming towards? Because I know last season, I think we were aiming towards the end of this season, weren't we, to start development?
Well, we need to work out what we're going to actually do first. So if we work out what we do first, we've got to put planning permission, then get funding, and then make sure that the supporter groups are happy with it, which is a process because everyone's got an opinion. Mm-hmm. So I need to make sure that there is a process. I've got a guy who's doing it. My guy, Lee Dover, he's looking at the development. So he's in construction. So he's fully dedicated to that.
What is your relationship with the trust? Because you'll be aware they put out a statement yesterday and there is a degree of trust which needs to be rebuilt. I think you're kind of, you'd be on board with that. You understand that. What is your relationship with the trust?
I think my relationship with the trust is pretty good. I don't have a problem with them. So I'm sure. Well, there might be some people that might not have an opinion about me. I'm not too sure. You'd have to ask. Look, I don't have a problem with the supporters trust or the supporters club or any of the supporter groups. It is hard, but to work out who does what with the supporter groups because we do have a few supporter groups at Swindon, and the only thing that I care about is Swindon Town Football Club, and I do care about all the fans, and I know they're in different categories, so to speak, but I look at the supporters as the supporters, and that's how I look at it.
I've got a question here that's come through regarding Foundation Park. Can you ask why the Foundation Park facility hasn't been paid for in the last 6 months of use by the football club?
I don't think that's right. I think that's bollocks.
Yeah, there you go. Short answer.
No, I don't think that's right. Because if they hadn't been paid for 6 months, Shane would have sent me a message and gave me a bollocking and said, "You haven't paid me." But we use their facility and they do a few things for us, so there is some sort of.
Give or take.
I don't believe there's any money outstanding. But if there is, I'll check the accounts. Let me speak. I'll speak to the accounts tomorrow.
Okay. This is from John Paul. He says, please ask Clem if he also intends to buy the shares back from Paladorio, and if the shares held by Paladorio are being held on behalf of Michael Standing, which is the reason why those shares will not be brought back. You'll be aware, of course, that there are always rumours of the fact that Standing and Barry in the background, and they are behind you. What would you say to that?
Michael Standing's got nothing to do with the club, I'll tell you that now. Am I going to buy the shares back from Eddie? I need to. When I'm over there, I'm going to speak to him. But my first thing is with Chris Kiley at the moment. So I'm trying to buy the shares back from them.
So you can categorically say that Standing and Barry are not involved in the
I'll
football
tell you now, I haven't fucking spoken to Standing for ages. I don't know how long I've spoken to him. But we were in the court case anyway, in the court case when we're trying to get the club, but I haven't spoken to him since then, since I've taken over the club.
I've got a question, a comment here, so take this on board as well. Maria Julie Harrison Moss, hello to you. Absolutely hats off to you, Clem, for coming on here and answering questions on the spot. Applaud that. So there you are. There's comments coming in like that. This is from Ukulele Teacher, Matt Stead. Why did you purchase the club? What was your reasoning behind it personally?
Look, I like football. Football was my passion. And I still play football. Obviously we're going into summer, so there's no footballers at the moment. So that was my passion. And I saw Swindon Town as a great opportunity for me personally. And look, is it a smart financial decision? Not really. But I look at the club and it's a personal thing for me, and I love football.
Joe, you got any more?
Yeah, so just touching on the transfer budget over the summer, did this sort of shares issue, did it affect anything in terms of the playing budget? So obviously we've got two players in the likes of Dan Kemp and Jake Young that have come to the football club on loan from league rivals. If we're up there in January and we're lingering around promotion spaces, they get recalled. You know, are we going to be able to make funds available to ensure that we can secure services of players that will help us get promotion?
I've been talking to Flinny anyway. We're trying to get some more players in as well. Yeah. So I was talking to him in August. I've been talking to him now. I've been talking to Jamie. Look, we've got a plan for January as well. Look, you can throw as much money as you want to a team. Doesn't mean you're going to get promoted, and you've seen that with different clubs out there. So Flynn understands the league, understands how to get out of the league, understands to have a proper budget, and not just throw a bucket load of money. I believe so. That's what we're doing. There's no mate. He'll tell me, say, I want to get this player, and we'll sit down and work out what the numbers are, and we do it. So there's a collaborative with Jamie, me, and Flinny. We're all three-way, making sure that we're sorting out the players. And look, I think we're going all right. We're coming third. We've got a game in hand, and if we win that game in hand, we're first. So I think we're going all right. So to say that your budget's not sufficient, if we're bottom of the league, I could understand, but I think we're going all right at the moment.
Yeah, I've got another question based on the budget as well. It's coming from Ian. He says, are Sandro, Jody Morris, and Ed Brand on gardening leave, i.e. still being paid monthly, or were assessments made, and did this affect this year's budget?
No, so we had that budget already. Sandro has been paid off. So they had obviously a payment to the end. We're still paying Jody and Ed till I think October or November. Don't quote me on that, but we've still got a couple of months still to pay. But that's in their contract anyway. But it hasn't affected the budgets. Like we budget everything for players, what's going on. We're running like a proper business at the end of the day. Make sure money is in, money's out. We're not blowing all this money and then put a bucket load of debt on the club. So that's what we're doing. So no, there's not a problem with that.
Okay, I've got a question here from George. Zav Austin, Adam Hart, and Michael Standing, what's their involvement, and when are you asking them not to be involved? You've already mentioned Michael Standing. What about the other two?
Zav Austin, listen, if it was, I know everyone keeps bagging Zav Austin. I know about his past, but without Zav Austin, I wouldn't have got this club. He got me this club. So I've got to give him that. Yes, he had a past. Mate, I'm not going to criticise him for the next 20 years because he's had a past. Look, he's not vice chairman anymore. He's a guest of mine. He comes to the games, and that's it. Adam Hart, he helps with the S&C. Adam Hart has done great with the players. He's got a good relationship with the players. Is he a character? Yes, he's a character. But I look at what people do for the club, and that's it. And Adam's done he's helped me in that way. And Harry McCurdy, you look at Harry McCurdy. If it wasn't for Adam Hart, I'll tell you, Harry McCurdy wouldn't. Best season he ever played was at Swindon Town, and that I take my hats off to Adam Hart. I'll give it to him.
Sure.
So is it safe to say that Adam Hart has no, financial interest in the football club, or
no, not at all. No, right. He's got no interest at the football club. He's with he helps with the S&C, and he helps with the players. He's got that relationship with the players. No, he doesn't run in. He's got no authority whatsoever.
Dean says, hi, Clem. Firstly, thanks for coming on and answering our questions. What is the solution to eliminating the 500,000 to 1 million annual losses? Is it simply a case of needing to be promoted out of League Two, or will budgets needed to be cut across the club?
Look, we're trying to set up these academies to try to bring more revenue. We're trying to get more sponsorship throughout the club. We're trying to look at what else we can bring into revenue. Look, I'm trying to make sure it can break even, but if it doesn't break even, it's going to lose $500,000 to $1 million a year to that now. But the biggest problem we've had all this debt. We still have a few more court cases that are going through the club. So, mate, I never created the mess. I'm trying to clean up the mess. I think when I came in, I had everyone suing us. We had the council suing us in the first month because the rent hadn't been paid for 15 months. We hadn't paid the HMRC for 15 months. We had DBS, an architect that Power had for the training ground that we had to pay. Everyone keeps saying they love this club, but mate, when I came into the shitstorm, it wasn't. They just wanted their money.
How real of an opportunity or a chance was there that, if these debts were called in by Lee Power and Andy Curran, I mean, was there an opportunity or a chance for them to actually get hold of Swindon Town Football Club? I mean, are you confident?
Yeah, no, they would have taken it. Andy Curran and Lee Power had the debentures, 2.95 million. They would have taken the club.
Did they have a conversation, or did you hear of any? I don't know.
They would have put the club in admin. They would have put an admin into the club. They would have wiped out all the debt, the $4.5 million. They would have taken the club, and you would have been playing in whatever league they go
in. Sean asked, what is the purpose of the Karachi project? You might well remember that was launched 18 months ago. Now you're talking about the academy in Australia. Is the Karachi FC thing still a thing or not?
Look, Zav's not involved in it. Alex Pike has looked at it. He's been there he's been there 3 times, I believe. Look, we're looking at a few academies around the world. Look, obviously I'm Australian. I've brought Jamie and Bailey. He's come out. They've come to Australia. Obviously, there's more. Look, there's a lot more opportunity in Australia for revenue for the football club and getting kids over from Australia to England. Look, the Karachi thing. Alex Pikes is looking at it. We're looking at other countries. Obviously, I'm in New Zealand. I'm in America. I'm still looking at a few others. So we're still trying to work on that. We're not. Look, it's not costing the club any money. So when I look at it, I go, well, if it's not costing the club any money and it doesn't deter us from running the football club, then I don't have an issue with it.
Okay, more of these coming in. Kieran says, why is the managing director of Access UK also the CEO of the football club? Will he be committed enough to the role, much like the finance guy who also still works for Access? Is the football club just a side gig for them or their full-time jobs?
No,
I mean,
they're full time.
yeah.
They're
And Anthony
full-time.
Hall is now chief executive officer, isn't he? So
They're full time.
yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, that answers that. Niall says, could you please ask Clem to confirm if Rob Angus signed an NDA upon resigning from his position of CEO? Can you answer that?
No, I don't believe he did. No, but I got nothing to hide. So it doesn't, and no disrespect, the place leaks like a sieve anyway. So it doesn't. You could sign as many NDAs there, it wouldn't matter. People would be still talking about it. And if they didn't, they make things up anyway.
Fair enough.
Clem, is Sept 87 Limited still the owner of Swindon Town Football Club? If so, why have the accounts not been submitted on time to Companies House? And why has a motion to strike out the business in the Gazette been raised?
The accounts have been done because I signed them off last night.
Okay.
I don't believe that Sept does own STFC, but I'd have to check. I think Access Football might, but I need to check. But the accounts have been done. I signed them off last night. Probably just an oversight.
Okay, so when are we expecting to see them? Do we know?
Probably tomorrow or Friday. What time is it?
I don't know. It's Thursday with you, I think, isn't it? So
yeah, Thursday. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, Thursday.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, Richard says, struggling to understand how losses are being sustained when crowds are at the best they've been in years. We're no longer paying rent, £400,000 a year. What would break even look like? Do we need League One or 12,000 crowds? What would be a break even figure as far as you're concerned?
With crowds?
Yeah.
I think it's a bit about everything at the moment. I think it's about the kiosks, it's about the retail, it's about the supporters, the staffing, how we can be more efficient. So it's about everything. So look, do I want more crowds? Absolutely. I want the town to support the club. I think we're coming third, got a game in hand. Look, we're playing exciting football. Like I think we're in exciting times at the moment. So break even. Look, the academy here in Australia probably brings some more revenue. So I'm trying to get that down, but it's going to take time. It's going to take me time to do it. I can't click fingers and get things done straight away.
Sure. Mitchell says, has having to explain yourself continuously changed how you feel about the club? Are you frustrated and now considering if you really want this? I mean, you're the owner of the club. As you've explained many, many times, you're doing your best for Swindon Town Football Club. Does there come a point when you think, why am I putting up with this? I mean, this is an opportunity for you to give your own side of the story tonight, and we really appreciate it. But do you get frustrated?
Look, I'm human. I do get frustrated. Look, is it hard that I've got to justify myself? Yeah, because I've never really had to do it. Look, I've got the business, and it's a bit different to running a business than running a football club. But look, has it changed my views? No, not at all. Like, look, you got to take the good with the bad. When it's good, it's brilliant. When it's bad, it's shit. So you've got to just go through it and ride the wave. Look, I'm quite tolerant. And look, it's a mistake that I made, and I've got to make sure it doesn't happen again. I've got to learn from my mistakes. And there's no one on this screen that's ever been perfect.
No, sure.
So I think people have made mistakes before, but obviously being in the public eye, I've got to make sure that I don't make these mistakes.
Just another one on budget. So it's another one asking about investment coming into the club. Matt asks, surely we need a little bit more investment if we can't be investing ourselves, rather than waiting for the income from the likes of the academy, hotel, etc., which is years away. So it's another one, again, asking whether or not you're actively seeking investors in the football club.
No, I'm not seeking investors in the club, but Look, I'm running the club as a sustainable football club. That's what I'm trying to do. So to make sure it's got no debt, and if it needs money, then I'll put money into it. But I'm trying not to. But listen, when I came in, I didn't think we were going to have £7.5 million worth of debt in the club. I thought there was going to be 800 grand. It would have been kosher, but obviously that wasn't the case.
How real is the current threat to the football club in terms of the debentures and court cases? Is that a genuine threat, or are you confident that we'll see this?
Well, the benches are sorted out.
Right.
The 3 or 4 court cases, I think there's about 3 court cases, but they're not really anything anyway. So we're just fighting the fight at the end of the day. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Mm-hmm. What can we say? What the 3 court cases that are currently active are?
Centre plate, which we've put in the advisory board meeting anyway. So there's centre plate, but we've put 110 grand into an account, so that's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's a car in Switzerland that obviously Lee Powell took and gone missing, so they're chasing the club, which we're fighting. And there's another, and there's where the academy is at the front there. He rented the place and we kicked him out, and they're suing us for rent, some shit like that. But we're fighting that as well. So.
Okay. Trevor says, why, when everything was going wrong last season, did you and everyone at the club shut the doors and stop communicating? I think this is when Scott Lindsay had gone and you were looking for a new manager and there was nothing coming out of the football club. Now, I know your style is not to say anything until it's actually happened, but could you understand why people were frustrated at that time?
I can see why they were frustrated, but you've got to understand our point of view. We're seeking managers. We don't want to put it out in the public domain. We put it out into public domain. It hurts the club. It's not about me not being transparent. This is business at the end of the day. It's a bit like the players. We're looking at players. We can't put it out there. We put it out there, then another club goes and takes him, or he wants more money and stuff like that. So we've got to be – I understand it's frustrating for the fans because the fans want to know, they want to know, they want to know. But for me, I'm looking at it and go, well, mate, we're looking for managers, or we're looking for players. We've got to keep it under wraps. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to tell people if we're looking for a new manager or we're looking for players. We need to make sure it's bedded down, and then we announce it. We can't do it.
Mm.
You got more, Joe?
I'm just looking through now. As I've got. There's a piece of the advisory board statement. So the statement reads, while most of the money has been repaid and the majority of the shares reclaimed as a small minority shareholding remains to these 2 individuals, they have no interest in running the football club and want no influence over the club whatsoever. Mark has just asked, please can you query the statement below, which was made the share issue come to light. Said they were almost paid back, although this is not now the case from the advisory notes and is no longer a priority. What is correct as both can't be?
No, priorities. Look, we're paying off the shares at the moment. We're trying to get the shares back, which will happen in the next couple of weeks. So that's a priority. And then when I come over, then we'll re-look at it again. But I need to work out what's happening in the January window period. So I need to work out that part, so there's no point throwing money at that when I can put money into the actual playing budget.
Yeah.
When are we expecting to see you and come over?
Hopefully Christmas.
Right.
So
okay.
For my nice summer break.
Will you be over for the Wrexham Hollywood game? I guess it's nice one for you to be. Yeah.
Can't tell you knows I've got a beer with Ryan Reynolds in the hospitality box.
I don't think he'll be there anyway.
Maybe in Hollywood, I guess.
Hopefully we beat him this time. It's not 5-all.
Oh, don't get us on that game, please. It still hurts. Right. Mark says, I think one of the main fan issues was to have a clear picture of the actual ownership of the club. This is due to historical issues, and I feel we're not completely clear on the ownership of our club. As a result, I feel this will not allow many fans to move forward. Clem, I don't think it's unreasonable given our history. I also think many concerned fans are being criticised when clarity is not forthcoming. Can you understand then why people do have this worry about the ownership of the football club?
Yeah, I do understand it. I do understand it now. Look, and like I've said before, I apologise. I should have advised you, but I had two options: pay the debenture or put the club in admin. Right? I asked two people at Swindon if they could lend me the money. They didn't, which is fair enough. I don't have an issue with that. But there was two options, and it wasn't me taking money out of the club to go and buy something or fund my lifestyle. I went there to save the football club, and that was my priority. That was the only priority I had, was to save the football club, because the place was an absolute mess. Right? We had £10 in the bank when I walked in, with no manager, no players, no kit, no sponsors, no bus, no groundsman, no nothing. It was a mess. I'd never seen anything like it. And I thought, when I walked in, I thought, the hell did I get myself into here? But I didn't have a problem with the business side. I'll tell you that now. Never had a problem with it. I took it on head on. And did I make mistakes? Yes. If you want to crucify me for making mistakes, what can I say to you? I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I wanted to save the football club, and that was my goal, to get it up the league, to buy the ground, to get rid of the debt. And I think, not that I give myself any praise, but I think in 2.5 years, I think we've done all right to clean up what's happened for the last 20 years or 30 years or whatever it's been.
I think a lot of people, sort of, when you took the club over, you got instant, credit in a way, because you ultimately did save us from a point of oblivion. Ultimately, I think some of that trust is maybe frayed in certain parts of the fan base. What do you think you can do to repair some of that trust that maybe have been lost? Is it a case of just, will promotion this year be the aim, and obviously development of the ground, getting that done? I suppose actions probably.
Promotion for us is a goal that we're trying and we're striving for. I'll tell you that now. We're there to get promoted this year. We're trying so hard to get promoted. That's my goal at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
To do the development is a goal of mine as well, obviously. So they're the two goals that I have for the football club, and have a proper academy that we can bring into the team and buy and sell the players. So that they're my goals at the end, and run it, making sure that we're running a nice stream football club at the end of the day, and make sure it's exciting football, and they have interaction with their chairman. But if I had something to hide, I wouldn't get up at 4 a.m. to do this. No disrespect.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, what would you say to those supporters that maybe have had their trust frayed?
Look, I say to them, I'm sorry that I did not tell you. Please forgive me. Please come back to the football club, because we need you, and we want you here. We want you to support our football club at the end of the day, and it's the heart of the soul of the town, and we want you to be there at the end. So I apologise if I'd done wrong.
I've got a question here from an angry STFC fan and Trust STFC member. Can you please ask Clem why it took 3 to 4 weeks to speak to the Supporters Trust about their perfectly reasonable questions post-shareholding issue coming to light? When he did speak to them finally, it was at the monthly advisory board where he had to speak to them. To me and many others, this doesn't scream respect, openness with your co-owner of the county ground. You got your 50% of the county ground for free. Your comments earlier disgrace to the memory of Nigel Eady, a Swindon supporter. What would you say to that?
Look, I probably was. I do have a business, and I do work I do have another job. Look, there was no disrespect to Nigel Eady. I highly respect him that he gave the money, but I did gift the money to the supporters group, and that was done by me. It was like I said, we'll give the money to the supporters group so the supporters can buy a JV on it. It's been a 5-year plan in the making. So I apologise. There's no disrespect to Nigel Eady at all.
Fair enough.
Because
Ian,
anyone else could have taken the money and ran off with it.
Ian says, can we sustain a competitive challenge with the club's finances?
Yes. Well, you can. The results, end of the day, the results answer that, don't they?
Yeah, fair enough. Our family continues to drive up from Winchester in Hampshire to support home games. Well done to you, Jules. How close do you feel we are to seeing plans for the ground renovation? Sorry if this question's been asked before. Where are we at with it? I mean, I know you want to get it done. What gets done first, and what are you aiming to get done first? Don Rogers, Town End, which bit?
Well, we got a report from an expert, I think Ramboll, I think they were. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. We got a report. I need to review that report and then sit down with the supporter groups and with Anthony and Lee Dover and go through it and work out what our best scenario, what our first stage is. Once we've done the first stage, work out what our first stage is, then go finance, go to planning and go from there.
What's the first bit you ideally would want done?
I like to put a roof on the Town End. That's what I like to do first.
Stratton Bank.
Stratton Bank.
Stratton Bank, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
And then look at the Don Rogers and then go from there, then go around. So
is the hotel still an idea in the Town End?
The hotel's an idea. We just got to see if it works for us. How much it's going to cost, what revenue we're going to get out of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the hotel we're still looking at.
Here's one I possibly could answer for you, actually. It's from AC. Why is Clem confused by the supporters group roles? That's what he said earlier. One's a trust, one's a supporters club. Not hard to work out what each is designed to do. Now, I think your point of view is, why are there so many groups and what do they all do? That's what I think you said at the beginning, wasn't it? Yeah. And I'm not putting words into your mouth, but are you any clearer in what people do?
I am, but I know the supporters trust are there to make sure that the club is accountable for finance and stuff like that. I believe that the supporters club are official supporter groups for the club, and it helps the club in match days and stuff like that. So look, you got to understand, it might be easy for him because he lives in the town. I don't live in the town. I live on the other side of the world. So it's like you guys coming to Australia and going, "Oh, do you understand how the NPL 1 works?" You'll go, "No, not really." Well, that's why, because you don't live here.
Yeah.
And I no disrespect. I'm sorry if I offended it. And like I said before, I apologise if I offend anyone. I'm not here. Being Australian, I'm probably a bit more direct and a bit blunt. That's all. And I apologise for that.
Yeah, it's okay. None of us understand what Australian rules is anyway, apart from kicking the ball up in the air. In terms of the football, it's 100% better than we've seen for a long time. Thank you, Clem, and all the best for the bigger goals in stadium development, etc. Looking forward to seeing the plans, ideas, etc. Hi, Clem. This is from Old Duffer Ratter. I just joined this chat. Sorry if I'm repeating a question. Do you intend to develop the grassed area behind the Don Rogers? If so, what are your ideas? Now, I know you want a fan zone, don't you? So is that one thing you've got planned for that?
We want to put a fan zone where the shop is. We're just trying to work that out at the moment. We've been talking about that in the JV. So we're trying to do that first, and then the other part we're still looking at what the options are, what we can do in that area, but we're not too sure at the moment. We're just trying to work out what council will allow us, what the supporter groups are happy with. So you got to understand that there are a few parties that we need to go through to make sure that everything gets ticked off.
Sure, Joe.
Yeah, I actually saw a nice comment from old Duffer Ratter earlier on as well. I jotted down. He said, "I will be watching," so he's kept his word there. Let's all show some respect and understand that he has actually stuck to his word and got the club into a much better position financially, and also through mistakes he has admitted to correct them. We now have a club on the up financially and unbeaten. So there's a nice message
Thank you.
from one of the old
Thank you
Duffers there.
from me.
And Anthony says, Clem's apologised several times tonight. We also need to remember what he's done for the club. Without his intervention and financial support, we wouldn't have a club. Let's move on, folks. And hi, Clem. Will the town end be 2-tier hotel and a museum? Now, I'm involved with the museum, so kind of, I'm kind of interested in this. What are your plans for the museum? What would you ideally want?
Well, we discussed it in the advisory board meeting about the museum. Now, there's a lot of stuff that people have got, and I said to sure I was speaking to, I said to work out what you want to display and what size you want at the moment. So we can make a temporary museum, so we can set one up near the shop there. So we want to set up a temporary museum. So whilst we're doing the development, we've got this museum. We've got all these artifacts. We keep talking about this museum. Let's start working out a plan and what size you want for the museum. We've got some prices already on an area at the front there. I've just got to make sure that it works and get planning. Make sure you guys are happy with it, that it's big enough. How we're going to run it. It's make sure it's secure, it doesn't get vandalized, people don't go and steal it or whatever we've got to do, power and water or whatever we've got to do, and data. We just got to make sure that everything's right. Once we're all happy with it, then build the thing and then get this museum sorted out. I think I like to do things, all right, we're going to do this, and this. Let's work out a plan and start cracking on it, excuse me.
Believe me, some of the stuff that we've been looking at is incredible and extraordinary things. Right, I've got more questions. Joe, have you got a few more?
I'm sort of through my list now, Vic, if I'm honest. We've covered quite a lot of what I think we've had in, really.
Okay, well, Neil says, Clem, from the first day at Weymouth, you've been completely night and day compared to the rubbish we've had in the past. From what's been said, I think you have the right motives at the club. Now, let's get behind the club totally and push the thing forward. You've taken a mountain on here. That deserves a lot of respect. And Michael says, do you see a time when you think we are rid of all links to previous regimes? I think everybody who supports Swindon Town Football Club wants to know we're all heading in the same direction. We can get on and support Michael Flynn and his fabulous team, because it is a fabulous team right now. And just think about what happens on the green bit, without all the stuff off the pitch. I think that's what people's main concern is. They just want to support this football team without worrying about things off the pitch. So what about the time when we do see the end of all links to previous regimes? You see that time happening?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do now. And I've been doing that since I walked into the place. So we've still got little niggly bits and pieces that we need to sort out. Once they're sorted out, then we can just concentrate on the football club and not worrying about all this other stuff that's going on. We're just worried about the team, the development, and making sure that the supporters are happy with how we run it. And look, and that's why we have an advisory board once a month. So if they've got any issues, speak up and talk about it, and we can address it. And that's why we set it up. We haven't deferred from that. We keep doing that. So, and that's what we're trying to do. So, but it's a work in progress. You've had 20 years of 30 years of crap.
40 odd years.
Longer than I've been on this planet.
Sorry?
So longer than I've been on this planet, we've had issues at Swindon Town. So my entire Swindon Town supporting life, there's been rumblings on in the background.
And I could see why they're sceptical of me. Look, I don't have an issue with it, but I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit.
Well, in the 40 odd years I've been covering Swindon Town in a variety of ways, these issues have always been there. I can tell you that. This is from Phil. Thank you, Clem, for your openness and patience. Thank you for getting us where we are today. The alternative is not worth thinking about. I trust after tonight we can all get back to working together to achieve the common goals that we have. I accept Clem's apology and just want to get on with the season. I guess you go along with that, do you?
Absolutely. Look, and look, I love the town. I've got a lot of mates there. Look, I play football with a few of them. I'll tell you that now. I play Foundation Park and played at the school, whatever the school there is. I enjoy playing football with you. So I talk to you. I talk to a lot of the Swindon guys day in and day out. People send me messages all the time and I respond to them. So yeah, I love the town. The town's a good town. It's a good club. It's a great club. We just want to make it better.
Yeah, just got one final one for you. This is how's the feedback from Lee? How's the feedback going for the county ground concert, which I believe is taking place next year?
Yeah, we need to look at how we're going to do it, what acts we're going to put in. I know there's been concerts there previously, but just want to make sure. I know it got criticised last time they did one. Just want to make sure it's done right. And making sure that we've got the right acts at this concert. So we need to work on that as well.
Well, Clem, thank you very much indeed for your time. You had an hour of it, and we really appreciate it. And
thank you.
Yeah,
I know you're going to have a fans forum when you come over, aren't you? So we look forward to that very much indeed.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you. Good.
Cheers,
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. And
thank you.
Yeah, look forward to seeing everybody at Morecambe on Saturday. Yeah.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thanks, boys. Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you,
Cheers.
everybody. Thank you. Bye.